All right, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, 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 class, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat, Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David. There's been in this truth before us for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming from my shepherd, like Abishai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there doing the work, risking their lives, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and magnify the name of Yahweh Bashem Abishai. Shalom, Shalom. A hearty Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. They're getting their households in order and moving in the spirit of sincerity and truth. Shalom to those men, and shalom to all of the sisters out there in this truth who serve the Most High and reverence their husbands, who may not be married, who tend to put it on without distraction, their children, the ancient men, the widows. Shalom to the nation. Shalom, shalom.
God, Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High for another Shabbat, another day of getting your spirit in order, repenting, examining, doing all you can to make sure that you present yourself blameless before the Lord. As we always do, let's go to Acts chapter 18 and verse 4.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 18 and verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Shabbat and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks.
Right, another Sabbath service to persuade Israel, who knows that they're Israel, to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, the faith, the brotherly love, the charity, sincerity, to do all things to magnify the name of the Lord. And to those just forsaking the ways of this world and coming back to serve our God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, to compel them to search the scriptures daily and diligently, be in the church of Berea, and let the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushua be true and every man a liar, and cast down these false doctrines. And the only way we can do that is through Philippians 4:13.
It's the book of Philippians, chapter 4 and verse 13. I can do all things through Yahushua, which strengthens me.
Right? So through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we're able to combat false doctrine, right? Stand 10 toes down for the doctrine that we learn and continue to endure this race, right? So we can make it to the finish line if it be Yahweh Shem Yahushua would.
That's right. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and 4. Right, so it's 9 days before Passover. Passover is April 3rd at sundown. April 3rd at sundown is the Passover, right? So we want to make sure that we know what the Passover is about, know when it is, what the laws and the statutes and the ordinances behind it are. If there's any questions from the nation that may come to light, we encourage brothers and sisters to ask those questions so we can answer them. And your question could be somebody else's question, you know. So never be too ashamed or ashamed at all to put a question out there if you do have it pertaining to the Passover. You don't want to go into the Passover just willfully proud because you had a question, but you was embarrassed to ask it, right? Or you're too good to ask, and then you put your lamb in the microwave, right? So you want to make sure you know what's going on in this thing. So bring that up.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5 and verse 4. In the name of our Lord Yahushua, when ye are gathered together, and my spirit, with the power of our Lord Yahushua, to deliver such an one unto Satan.
To do what?
To deliver such an one unto Satan.
To deliver such an one unto Satan. Right? Go on.
For the destruction of the flesh.
That what?
That the spirit might be saved in the day of our Lord Yahushua.
So there was a brother, we go into this often, who committed fornication. The Apostle Paul said, remove that brother because he's going to, for lack of better terms, affect the entire body. All right, go on.
Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
So a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Go on.
Purge out therefore the old leaven.
So you want to purge out leaven. Leaven is sin, right? That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about what you may buy from the grocery store, a pack of yeast, right? Leaven, carnally, is something that causes bread to rise. Spiritually, it causes sin to take root and rise within your members. So you want to purge out that leaven through repentance, through prayer, through counsel, through fasting, through self-examination. Go on.
That you may be a new lump.
So you want to be a new creature in Yahushua, day by day. Go on.
As ye are unleavened.
As ye are unleavened. Right? So, yes.
I was going to let you finish.
No, I was.
Let's go to Ezra chapter 10 and we can start at verse number 10, right? So this is going into separating, the strange people of the land and your strange wives, right? On a physical level, that's actually talking about the strange wives that they took during that time period. But on a spiritual level, we're talking about that as far as doctrines and things that are holding you back, that are being blemishes, that are leaven, right? As we get closer into the Passover, it's time to deeply examine. Yes, we're all as filthy rags, but you got to continue to separate yourselves from the ways of this world, right?
It's the book of Ezra, chapter 10 and verse 10. And Ezra the priest stood up and said unto them, Ye have transgressed and have taken strange wives to increase the trespass of Israel. Now therefore make confession unto the Lord God of your fathers, and do his pleasure, and separate yourselves for the people of the land and from the strange wives.
So you have to separate yourselves from the people of this land, right? What does that mean? The people who follow in the ways of Babylon the Great, right? Great Britain, whatever captivity you may be in, you have to separate yourselves from those people that cause you to continue in the ways, man. It's an old saying, you're guilty by association, birds of a feather flock together. And if you're trying to present yourself blameless, you got to separate from the doctrines of this world, right? And solely focus on the doctrine of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the things that please the Lord. And the people who cause you to err, it's time to separate as we get closer to Passover, right? You have to take this time period seriously.
Right, let's go to the book of Isaiah 50 and 4. Right, Isaiah chapter 50 and 4. Right, so the first question from Livewire, are we supposed to slaughter a lamb for Passover, or can I buy lamb chops? Let's bring that up.
It's the book of Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 4. The Lord God hath given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary.
Right, so it's our job as servants of the Lord to speak a word in season to him that is weary. Go on.
He wakeneth morning by morning. He wakeneth mine ear to hear as to learn.
To hear as to learn. So go to Exodus chapter 12. Right, go to Exodus chapter 12, and you can really start at verse 4.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter
3.
Chapter 12 and verse 3.
And really, we should be in the spirit of reading the book of Exodus. Right? We're in the spirit of reading the law. You might be in Leviticus, Numbers, you might be in Genesis. You want to get in the spirit of the Passover. You might be in the Gospels, you might be in Exodus, then you might hop in John. You might be in Luke, and then you might go back into the law. So you want to really be in the spirit of Yahweh Shai as we approach the Passover. We're not sending to sin and read other books, right? That would be ridiculous, man. But nevertheless, you want to be in tune with the spirit that the Lord is putting on the earth right now, and charge yourself to know what this thing is about, man. So bring that up.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse number 3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
Right now, we don't have whole lambs in our land right now, right? Jake, you might live in an apartment complex. Go get a lamb if you want to, man. Your landlord is going to be knocking at the door saying, what is this, man? You signed the lease, no pets, no dogs. The hell, you can't have no lamb, man. Right? You might have a little green, we talked about yesterday, a little green space in front of your house, what they call the front yard. It's not really a yard. What are you going to do with your lamb out there, man? Cars driving by, throwing trash at your lamb and stealing your lamb, and, people coming up doing TikToks with your lamb. So you can't even have a lamb right now, man. Now, if you have land, then you have one. All praise to the Most High. But when you remember, we're under this man's system. Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Right? Now, if you can get a lamb, man. By all means. Right? If you could buy a whole lamb, buy a whole lamb. Bring that out, King.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
So we have to rely on our enemy for food, for water, for clothes, for shelter. Even to keep the feast days, we have to go get lamb from him, huh? Not knowing that the lamb is a male, not knowing if he's of 1 year, not knowing if it's without spot, not knowing if it has blemishes on it, right? But if you can, go to Ecclesiastes 9 and 10. By all means, get that whole lamb, huh? And you have to get into the spirit of the feast days. Don't give a half effort looking for lamb. Don't just travel up to the corner store and the dollar store and say, oh, I don't have no lamb, or it is what it is. Right? No, man, make that effort, man. If you got to kind of drive, a few miles out of your way to see if they got some lamb, do it, man. You got to make a few phone calls. You got to hit a butcher shop up or Amish farm, or you got to really get into these feast days, man, and give it your best effort when it comes to serving the Most High. All right, so bring that up.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9 and verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might.
No, give a half effort.
Do it with thy might.
Right, so the Lord said, do it with your might. Read.
Right. But there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest.
So whatever you do, give 1,000% at it, man. If you're going to read, don't have the TV on loud, man. So I'm reading it. Then you got the music playing, you got your AirPods in, listening to a podcast, and you watching the big game, but you talking about your reading. That's not doing it with your mic. You're praying, but you're thinking about work, man, and how much money you're going to get on your paycheck, man. If you just hurry up and get your prayers up behind my back, or you just get up and go do God knows what, man. So if you're praying, do it with your might. When it comes to keeping these feast days and prepping for them, prep with all of your might, man. Right. Don't just open that one cabinet, there's no leaven, and then you close it, man. Because you don't feel like really looking in that other cabinet. It's too high for you, man. You don't really feel like going through the stuff in the refrigerator. It's too much work. You got to do this thing with your might, man. Now, go back to Exodus 12, keep up 12 and 4. So again, look into getting a whole lamb if you can. If you can't get a whole lamb, don't put your head down. Man. Don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel like you're not doing it. Don't feel like, the Most High's not with you. We've all been in that situation, and we are in that situation, right? So you buy the lamb that you can, right? So go on.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb.
Right, so if my household is too small, we can't have a lamb in there and do it, I may go to Amos' house, man. And he may be able to provide for me in my house, man. Read on.
Your lamb shall be without blemish.
And we don't really even know if our lamb is without blemish, man. Our lambs that we're eating could have been slaughtered to the spiritual demon Satan in the name of white Jesus, right? Esau could have did God knows what unto the lamb, injected it with all types of pesticides and GMOs and ran experiments on it and then chopped it up and sold it, man. So read on.
A male of the first year, ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you can eat goat. I've heard brothers say you can eat sheep or goat. No, you can't eat goat for the Passover. Right? That's off. It must be lamb. Go on.
And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So they kill the lamb when the sun goes down. Right? So in the law, yeah, you're supposed to slaughter a lamb. You're supposed to have your lamb, raise it up to the 10th day, raise it up to the 14th day, and then slaughter it. Huh? And there was a way that we slaughtered our lambs. We didn't just stab it, man. Kill a lamb, you just stab it, man. That's wicked. Right? That's why they have kosher cuts. Brothers seen how they cut things kosherly. So there's a way to cut things to drain the blood. And, there was no strangling a lamb and put them in a headlock and eat your lamb. So you would slaughter your lamb, let the blood drain out, and then you would eat your whole lamb. Now, we encourage brothers to do, if you can do lamb chops, I believe the brother said, lamb chops, shoulders, things of that nature. Those are the best parts of the lamb that you may want to try to look into. Right? They have the little lamb with the lamb shanks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you got loins. You might get the lamb, but you want to get you a good piece of lamb if you can.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it.
That's okay. Right. So, yeah, you can buy lamb chops, right? You can buy lamb chops. We're rehearsing the righteous acts, right? So you put your effort in, and the Lord knows your sincerity, man, and how hard you're really going to get that lamb. Right? A lot of people can't find no lamb, and then you fry chicken, right? That's wicked, man. I don't know what the bitter herbs are. So you make greens. I don't know what the unleavened bread is. So you make biscuits. But you just made your grandma's meal, man. You just turned the Passover meal to your grandmother's Sunday dinner, man. So give it a sincere effort to serve the Most High.
Let's go to Philippians chapter 4 and go down to verse 9. Right?
It's the book of Philippians chapter 4 and verse number 9. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you.
Right? So the things that we have learned through the scriptures and seen our forefathers do, we have to intact and keep doing them as we should do, man, so that the Lord can be with us. Right? We may not be able to keep it as glorious as they did before, right? But we can follow in the same manner. Right? Brothers and sisters got to get into this, man. What we usually do, we take some red tape, put it on the post of the door, right? We try to follow everything that happened from Exodus 1 to 12 to a T, right? And like the brother said, everybody in your house should know what Passover is about, right? Don't get the smallest amount of lamb you can get, right? The lollipop lambs.
Yes, we call it.
Lollipop lambs, and you're like, yep, I just had Passover. No, get enough so you understand. And then read what Passover is truly about, right? So whatever you do, do it to all your might when you're celebrating these feast days. Most importantly, the Passover.
All right, next question. All right, from Justin Washington. Not a question pertaining to Passover. Okay. All right, but could brothers explain Esther 3 and 17? What does it mean that many people became Jews? Well, that's Esther 8 and 17, right? So that's Esther 8 and 17. So we'll answer that. All right. What does it mean many people in the land became Jews? So bring that up. Esther 8.
This is the book.
And it doesn't mean that they became Israelites by blood. Right? There was a blood transfusion. Right? And now they became an Israelite. You got heathens doing that now, huh? Blood transfusion. Now they have the blood of an Israelite inside of them, hoping they can make it, huh? You can't rob somebody's blood, huh? Why should bring that up?
It's the book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse 17. And in every providence and in every city, whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews.
Became what?
Became Jews.
Right?
For the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
All it's said is the people converted to the law, statutes, and the commandments that we were keeping. Because they knew if they didn't, they would get put to death. They would be killed. They saw the power of the Most High that was with us. They saw how the Most High overthrew that entire council. And when you read Esther, the king was asking Esther, how did y'all do today? How many people did y'all kill? Well, we killed this many people. How many people did you kill that day? We killed this many people. We was killing thousands of people, huh? And avenging ourselves against our enemies that came to kill us. So they said, well, damn, I don't want no beef. I don't want no smoke. Right? Those are fringes, I'll put them on. That's a beard, I'll grow it out. I'll bring it up.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 12. And the king said unto Esther, the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace.
So they was given head counts, body counts, 500 people in a palace. Go on. That's a bloody palace right there. It's a big deal. Go on.
And the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done in the rest of the king's providence? Now, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee, or what is thy request further, and it shall be done.
Right. So he said, what else do you want, man? The 10 sons of Haman are dead. Everybody knew about that. When Haman got killed, that wasn't done in the dark, man. He was hung publicly. Everybody knew about that, man. They saw the spirit shifting, and the Most High really dealing with Israel, so they started cleaving. That's the same thing. One more real quick in Isaiah 14 and 1. The Lord said they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right? So bring that up.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 14.
You got nations doing that now, man. You got Edomites putting fringes on, trying to blow the shofar at Passover, throwing up the curses on the other nations. You got Moabites throwing up curses on the Ammonites, to the Hebrew. Then Ammonites throwing up curses on the Edomites, man. So everybody's trying to come into this thing. Right, bring that up.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, and verse 1. But the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
Take us out of captivity, put us in the homeland of Israel. Read on.
And the strangers shall be joined with them.
Those are the other nations.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
They're going to cleave unto you, meaning desire and attach to you and pretty much ride your coattail, how they say, man. They want to ride your coattail because they see that the Most High is with you. That's what happened in the time of Esther.
Let's go to 2 Maccabees 6 and 8. Right, this is an example of how nations become as those who overtake them or conquer them. Right.
It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse number 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
So, like the brother was going into in Esther, they heard about the great overthrow and insurrection and death that was coming by the Jews. So it was a decree out. They were scared of what may happen by the hands of God's chosen people, right? And to the people who didn't do it, like that palace of Shushan, what would happen? Verse 9.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles shall be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
So that was the Most High stirring up the heathen spirit to get ready for what's coming into the kingdom, right? Let's go to Joel chapter 3 and verse number 18, right? Because that same spirit that was going on during the time of Esther, right, during the time of Maccabees when John Hyrcanus came into power and caused all those Edomites to be in subjection and following the ways of our custom, is the same thing that's going to be happening in the kingdom of heaven. 18.
It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and the fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim.
So all the mountains are going to drop down new wine, meaning understanding. And what's that new understanding that they're going to have? The knowledge of the Lord in the ways of Israel. How to keep all these high holy days, how to keep the Sabbath, how to properly do things. Because right now the whole world is upside down. Left is right, right is left, right? Nothing is in order. So when that new wine starts to drip down from the kingdom of the Lord, that's when that true understanding, and then they're going to really follow in the ways of being what you would call a Jew, right? It's a lot here.
That's right, man. So brothers have to understand the fact that it's not talking about that you
The inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before the Lord and to seek the Lord of hosts.
Why would they? Are they doing that now? No. So what would compel the nations to say, look, let's hurry up and go serve the Most High? Let's speedily, right? Because it was time limits, man. You got the evening sacrifice, right? You have certain feast days when the sun goes down. So they're going to rush to serve the Most High. Read on.
I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before the Lord.
Read.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew.
They're going to cleave to your fringes, man. And saying what?
Saying, we will go with you.
We're going to do our own thing.
We will go with you.
Why?
For we have heard that God is with you.
Can't get around that. We're going to go with you because God is with you, which means he's not with us. Right? So that shows you plainly what Esther is going into. All right? All right, so we're moving on. Right? Good questions. Okay, from Abad Babal, Shalom. What should be done with the bones after?
Yeah, let's go to Exodus chapter 12 and go to verse 8. Right? Exodus chapter 12 and verse 8. believe that's where I want to start. Yeah, we start at 8.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse number 8. And they shall eat the flesh in their night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs shall they eat it.
Right, so it's important that you follow the ordinances of how you make your lamb. Right, like the brother said, you don't want to make it in the microwave, on the stove top, right, on the George Foreman grill. You roast it over a fire, right? And there should be no excuse, right? I live in an apartment, I can't do that. Get you a small miniature grill, get some charcoal. You might spend $20 in total, right? Go outside and cook the lamb, right? Follow all the ordinances, right? You keep going.
Eat not of it raw, nor sudden at all with water.
So you can't eat any of it raw. It shouldn't be any pink in the lamb. You can't put it in water and boil it and eat it, right? That's off.
But roast with fire his head and his legs, and with all the prudence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning, ye shall burn with fire.
Right. So whatever is left over, if you made too much lamb, right, or you had a full stomach, you ate before the Passover and you couldn't eat as much, right? You roast it with fire. That same fire that you used to cook it, you burn it all up and let nothing remain in the morning.
Yeah, no lamb leftovers, man. Right? Like they do with the so-called Thanksgiving, man. Thanksgiving leftovers last about a week, man. Right? Greens, you scraping that crust for the mac and cheese, the burnt parts, and now you can't do that, man. Sweet potatoes getting all, they're getting all brown, and you know what I'm saying? It's madness, man. Take your lamb, like the brother said, the law say, and burn it. Everything, man, that remains until the morning. No leftover lunch, man, with your lamb.
And don't give it to your dog. Don't give the bones of the Lord to the dog, man.
Yeah, that's off, man. Right? And don't break the bones of the lamb, too. Real quick, go to John 19. That's wicked. Right? Go to John. The Lord said, dogs can pass me about, man. Do you want to feed him, feed the bones of the Lord to the lamb, man? Or to the dogs, to the field? Go to the book of John, chapter 19. And you
It's the book of John, chapter 19, and verse number 33. But when they came,
you start at 31.
Verse 31, the Jews therefore, because it was the preparation, asked like that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. For the Sabbath day was in high day.
Right, because it's the Passover. Not just any Sabbath, it's a high day. Right, go on.
But sought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away.
So if you were being crucified and you didn't die, and you was up there too long, they're not going to just wait around for the days for you to die. They'll break your legs because your legs support you, right, while you're up on the cross. So when they break your legs, your body cave in, your lungs collapse, you choke faster, you choke yourself out, and you die quicker. So they would break the bones of the Israelites on the cross, man, right? But when they got to Yahushua, he already gave them the ghost. They didn't have to break his bones. Go on.
Then came the soldiers and break the legs of the first,
right,
and of the other, which was crucified with them.
Right, those are the two malefactors. Go on.
But when they came to Yahushua and saw that he was dead already, they break not his legs.
They break not his legs. Read on.
But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water.
Just pierced his side. Let me just double check. That's wicked, man. See if he's really dead. You just stab him in his side, man. But blood and water came out. Right, read on.
And he that saw it bare record.
John saw it. That actually happened. Read on.
And his record is true.
Right.
And he knoweth that he saith true, that ye might believe.
That's a scene to see, man. Blood and water could have been just spewing out, man. Right? Blood and water. They say when the Apostle Paul got beheaded, blood and water came out, man. When you go into the history. So read on.
For these things were done, that the scripture might be fulfilled. A bone of him shall not be broken.
See that? So that's Psalm chapter 34. Right? 21 on down. You read about the bones of the righteous shall not be broken. He keepeth all his bones, man. Right? So that's really going into the Passover. So don't break the bones in pieces, put them in a grinder, or break it up to get the marrow and be over righteous. That's wicked, man. Right? So you follow the law to the T, to the best that you can.
Right. We can go back to Exodus 12 and get verse 46. verse 45, read 45 too. You know, Israel's too loving. You know, they like to incorporate everybody into the Passover. Right? I love the Lord so much, I want to bring the heathen in. Right? No, that's not happening.
Or your worldly family.
Right.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse number 45. A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof.
Right. So if you at work, don't be talking about, yeah, I'm having a huge dinner at my house. You're definitely invited. All I ask is that you put on fringes. Right? Don't do that. Don't bring anybody into your house to eat the Passover unless you know them to be in the truth. And you've proven them.
And one house shall eat, Salakia, and one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house.
So you can't make it to go Passover plate. Right? A doggy bag. Right? That's off. Right? I can't go to the brother at the Wam's house and have a huge Passover and right get the styrofoam plate. You know, the ones that got the things that go,
in it.
yeah, with the section and they go when
Right.
you put it in. You can't do that. Right?
Neither shall ye break a bone thereof.
So you can't break any of the bones of the lamb that you eat. So be mindful and careful when you eat it. Right? Don't eat it like a savage. Right? Oh yeah, no putting anything on the lamb. No putting no hot sauce or A1 sauce or right?
Sweet baby rays.
None of that. Right? That's off, man.
Your grandma's favorite seasoning recipe, right? With a little bit of Tony Saturates and a little bit of, mild salt. That's off, man. Right? Like brother said, keep the body of the Lord pure. Right? All right, real quick. Go to Exodus chapter 12 and really go to verse. Just there's something.
So you can't put any seasoning.
Salt.
Just salt. Just salt.
Yeah, kind of. Right. So go to Exodus chapter 12, and you can start at verse. I want to go to 20. You start at 18.
It's the book of Exodus,
Start at 16.
chapter 12 and verse number 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation.
So your Passover is a holy convocation. It's not a day, neither is there any day just to isolate yourself and cut yourself off the earth, right? It's not a day to go on vacation, right? I scheduled it already, right? I'll eat the Passover next month. That's off, man. It's a holy convocation. You should be gathered together with like-minded brothers or like-minded sisters to the best that you can. Now, we understand some brothers may live by themselves. You may not have that availability or opportunity to do those things, man. But you keep it in sincerity and in truth. But for brothers and sisters that have congregations or family in the truth or, friends, you keep it according with those individuals, right?
Okay, convocation. Right. I'm gonna play it real quick.
Come. So here's the word.
44. Mikra.
Right. That's convocation. Right. It says a public meeting, an assembly. Right. I'm gonna go to biblical usage. A sacred assembly and a convocation, meaning it's a gathering. The Lord commanded us to gather for the Passover. Right? It's not an option. You can't just be like, well, I may come. No, you're commanded to gather.
That's right. That's right. So let's read on.
And
it's like king. Right? It said sacred, which means what, man? Playing a Coolio, right? Tupac, Biggie at the Passover. That's not sacred, man. Right? A woman showing up with immodest clothes on. That's not sacred, man. Dice shooting in the bathroom. Right? That's wicked, man. Bringing lambs, just letting them loose. You want to do things in order and do things decent, man. Keep it holy. Right? The Lord said, abstain from all appearance of evil, man. Pull it up, blast it in. Got an ice cube, man. Want to put the spirit on the Passover. Rushing to see who can eat it the fastest. Who can eat the most bitter herbs? Who can drink the most lamb? Right? You treat the Passover like you're Ruth Chris, man. You're being extra needy. Then you looking at his plate because he got a bigger piece. So the Lord dealing with you. Ask him, try you kind of doubt yourself, is the Lord really dealing with me? Because you got a small piece of lamb, man. Right? So you really want to, we got to say this because we know our people, man. They'll be at the Passover looking at this brother, big piece of lamb, and ask themselves, is the Lord dealing with me? Or have a competition with eating the most bitter herbs.
Why is he so important?
Yeah, why is he so important? Or he got his lamb first. There was times people was crying at the Passover, because they didn't get their plate soon enough. Right? So again, with the Passover, if you keep it according to the law, and you have a whole lamb, you're going to eat late. And that's the way the Most High set it up. It's set up as a late feast day, man. What time did we leave Egypt? Or what time did the Lord kill the firstborn, rather? Midnight, man. So we was up all night. Yahweh Shai, he was up all night, man. Right? So it's put in the spirit of an all-night kind of deal, man. Some Passovers don't end at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. So don't expect to be there and eat your lamb like it's Ruth Chris, man. Put your little seasoning on there and, try to get a buzz. You just want to get a buzz. Right? You had your lamb, but you didn't get a buzz. You had a long week, you just wanted one. I can't get no buzz. So you get more wine just to get a buzz, man. Right? So we have to go into this. So read on in Exodus.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 16.
And no mixing stuff in your wine either. Right? You buy them shots from the gas station because last year you didn't get a buzz. So now you want to mix a little bit of Remy with it. Right? Or no, man. Right? Or grape juice. You want to dilute it. You're just pouring grape juice in your wine glass. Don't pour grape juice in your wine glass, man.
So like we had that happen at a Passover before. A brother mixed wine and grape juice so he can have more of a full cup.
Yeah, and it's red wine, right? No Zinfandel and champagne, right? So you want, or there's another wine. It's another white wine, Chardonnay, and Moscato. Huh? We have to go. You may say, well, we know that. Why are they talking about that? Because everybody comes in on different levels. A brother didn't have a white Zinfandel, huh? While he's eating his lamb.
And make sure it's kosher for Passover.
Right.
Because some wine they may ferment it with bread and stuff of that nature.
Or pork. You have pork inside of lamb sometimes. So again, Mandy Shevitz or Morgan David. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Morgan David. That's the best Passover wines to be able to have through experience. Right? You really run a risk if you kind of get some bottom shelf from the corner store, huh? Right? So let's bring that up in Exodus 12.
Verse number 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, saith that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
So guess what? There's no work, right? There's no painting a garage and a fence. There's no putting that blue tape around the house and trying to figure out what color you're going to paint things, cutting the grass. The only work that can be done is what? Work that pertains to the feast, to cooking, prepping, because you want to work with the lamb. You're going to have to put the lamb up. You're going to have to chop it in pieces. You have to do things, man. So that's the only work that can be done, right? And brothers, call off, man. If you work night shifts or you got that 2 to 10, right? Or that was that 10 to 6 or something like that, 10 to 4. Hey, call out, man. Don't save your vacation hours to go to Tijuana, man. And then you work on the Passover. Put in that sick time that you have, or that bereavement, or PTO, or UPT. Use it for the Passover. The Passover is Monday night at sundown until Tuesday night. So between those times, nobody should be working. And there should be no, they called me to come in. And, no, man, there ain't no coming in, man. Right? You don't want to be eating Passover in the break room. Everybody keep coming in using the faucet, right? You throwing up the prayers, man. Trying to talk to you and telling you to try to eat the Passover. Your supervisor ain't trying to hear that, man. He don't care that you trying to keep the Passover in the break room, huh? He might come in and rush you. Come on. And you already got to eat it in haste, so now you double hasting, man. Right? So you damn near, defiling up the Lord's body, man. So read on, King.
Verse 17, and ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
You know, I brought a bunch of niggas out.
I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
We left the hardest when you read in the Bible now. Armed up. Go on.
Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
No, that's Old Testament.
Forever.
That's forever. So guess what? The Passover is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Unleavened Bread runs how long? 7 days. 7 days long. Your first day is the Passover. It's not Passover, and then after that, the Feast of Unleavened Bread begins. That's madness. It's the sun goes down April 3rd. That's your Feast of Unleavened Bread. For 7 days straight, you have to eat unleavened bread. Is that the only thing you can eat? No. But you have to eat unleavened bread within that time span of 24 hours for each of those 7 days. All right?
So like you don't have to eat it with every meal either. Right? You don't gotta be over righteous. Right? You know, some people they eat 2 whole bags of flour during the feast of unleavened bread.
Right.
You know, be mindful.
Right. And again, be mindful of the leaven that should have been removed. Now, really, as we read this in the law, you're supposed to remove, real quick, jump on. Actually, no, read on, King. Read on.
Verse number 18, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Right. Now you say, well, y'all said it's April 3rd sundown. It says the 14th day. Right? Yeah, and we're going to post that, Lord willing, back on the social media. You'll see it on the YouTube. You'll see it on Instagram. You'll see it on Twitter. You know, Lord willing, to see the calendar. Now it says the 14th day, but we're keeping it April 3rd. Well, we're keeping it according to the new moon, just like the scriptures. So April 3rd is the 14th day from when the new moon began. Right? So that's just to clarify, because a lot of brothers still, you know, trying to figure that thing out. April 3rd at sundown is 14 days after when the new moon began, which was March 20th at sundown. All right? So that's what that's saying. So read on.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
So you got to be circumspect, man. You better be mindful, man, of what you eat. That's not a time to be ordering food. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is not a time to be going out to eat. Right? Be mindful of that, man. It's not a day to go to your favorite restaurant, man. This has got leaven in it. I don't know. Right? You might as well eat at home, man. Those are the days when you eat at home. You get these home cooked meals in with without the leaven in it. Right? And we put a list out there, and Lord willing, we can post it back on the social media with all of the different alternative names for leaven in it. Slucky, because it's not just yeast, right? You have to remove a lot of things from your house, man. And you really want to be diligent when it comes to removing that leaven. You want to move that couch out the way, man. Right? You want to lift them cushions up, man. You want to kind of really get into it. Check your bedroom. You might have food in there. You really want to examine that house, man. Because we're the house on a spiritual level. So the amount of effort you put into removing leaven from your house physically, that should match it spiritually, right? So like if you don't give an effort to remove leaven on a physical level, how much more spiritual, man? First, go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and 28 real quick. Bible shop, 1 Corinthians 11 and 28. God forbid that the feast of unleavened bread begins and you find a loaf of bread on top of the refrigerator, man. Right? Because you didn't really examine that, man. So the scriptures teach you how to be spiritual by doing physical things, man. So bring that up.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 28. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself.
So you want to eat and drink of the body and the blood and the cup of the Lord worthily. All right. So make sure you're examining yourself and you're looking at all of your members and see if you have leaven. It could be pride. It can be lust. It can be slothfulness. It can be grudges. It can be folly. It could be you don't know how to rule over your tongue. It can be anything. And we all have a leaven, man. And we want to look at ourselves and say, where's my leaven? You might want to write it down, right? Come up with a game plan, get counsel. Hey, I'm really examining myself. Is there anything you think I can work on? Anything, last time you did X, Y, and Z, right? Maybe you should do this, man. So that's really examining yourself. You don't want any leaven, man. The Lord said, don't cut you off on a physical level. So go back to Exodus 12, King, where you left off.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 20. Ye shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitation. Ye shall eat unleavened bread.
And there's different recipes you can do with the unleavened bread. You don't have to just make the standard, for lack of better terms, cookie shaped unleavened bread. Sisters in here throw down with the unleavened bread. Right, they do muffins, blueberry muffins, and all types of unleavened bread. People do like a pizza kind of deal. They do unleavened waffles, right? So you can really get down with the unleavened bread, huh? Right? So go on.
Can you buy that unleavened bread from a Jewish store?
Yeah, you can. I advise through experience. No.
They have a lot of yeast.
Yeah, and they what are they called? Matzahs. Yeah, you need 30 bottles of water for that. Right? And there's no salt in that. When I say salt, I'm talking about, hey, we ain't make that, man. Jake ain't make them matzahs and throw them in a box, man. Some old Edomite woman that shaved her head with a wig on, man.
It tastes like the box it comes in.
It says what? You see that? So I've seen brothers. Well, unleavened bread is just tortilla chips. Flour tortilla. Right? Right. So you can't just say, well, I'm eating my unleavened bread. I'm gonna just buy tortillas. You just go to the grocery store, just see them, pick them up, throw them in your little basket, and peel off, man. Yeah, that's unleavened bread, but brother, are you really getting into it, man? Really get into this thing, man. If you never made unleavened bread, hey, start practicing now, man. Or you don't want to start trying to figure this thing out on a feast day, right? So unleavened bread is simple. It's only about 5 ingredients: flour, and make sure you get flour without flour can have yeast in it. So you want to we do through experience King Arthur. So if you could kind of get that brand, that's a good brand to get with flour. Right. Yeah, it's a red and white. It's a red and white bag. All praises. So you got the King Arthur flour. That's the best brand to get. Is that the only brand? Maybe not. But that's through experience. We gave you through experience certain wines, Matty Shevitz and Magen David, right? Also, your unleavened bread has olive oil. Some people do a little bit of salt, honey, and water, and that's it. No. Now, eggs are not a leavening agent, but eggs can be used to cause things to rise. So it's not a sin to eat eggs, right? But if you're using eggs as a leavening agent, now you're going off, right? So eggs are naturally produced as leaven.
No self-rising.
No what?
Self-rising.
Yeah, right. So you want to be mindful of that.
And coming into this Passover season and Feast of Unleavened Bread, you got to really investigate these ingredients,
Right.
Because they put some outlandish names on it.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell is this that we're eating?
Right.
And be mindful of your water as well. They put a lot of sodium bicarbonate in it. Man, you got to check these words out. You got to do your due diligence, right? And yeah, you studied it last year and you remember, but you know how quick you can forget something?
Right.
So make sure you're refreshing as we get closer. Don't go to the grocery store and buy a whole brand new refrigerator of groceries, right? Plan it out. Get some fruits, get some vegetables, or get some meat, right? And get creative with the Feast of Unleavened Bread, man. Feast on unleavened tacos, like the brother said, unleavened pizzas, right? What else? You can make unleavened, like the brother always say, hoagies,
Right.
right? Flatbread sandwiches, man. You can really get into this.
That's right. That's right. That's right, man. So you can get down, man. Get down during the feast day, man. Don't just sit around eating flour in your hand with honey on it, man. And water, you got to put in the oven, right? We got to clarify everything.
Or
Once
you can fry it.
Yeah, or you can fry it. Once you make it in that bowl, your hands are going to get, don't ask, why my hands are feeling, well, that you make unleavened bread, brother. So they're going to feel it's not going to be what you think it's going to be, man. Right? So you're making it, expect to get, it's kind of dirty, man. Because you're cooking. So then you take them, you put them in the shape you want. You might get a baking sheet, right? And you might put aluminum foil there. You might not. You might, and you put them right there. You put them in the oven, man. It'll take 35, 45 minutes. Maybe 10, 15 minutes. You want to check on it and make sure it's done. Right? So that's how you make your unleavened bread. All right? So bring that up. In Exodus, where you left off, King.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover.
So your Passover is technically, in its best sense, is the lamb. Because Hamashiach is our Passover. So your Passover is the lamb, but the Passover is also a feast day. All right, and your Passover is also your Passover meal. But in its true sense, the lamb is the Passover. Right, so go on.
And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that in the basin and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning.
Right, so can you do that now? Right, well, I can't find lamb blood. I'll use chicken blood. Right? I'll use cow blood. No, brother. Don't you're gonna get that knock on the door, man. And it's going to be, oh, how the police outside? Man, what's going on? Right, throwing up prayers, man. Most have mercy on me. Right? And because brother, you got blood all on your door, brother. People are driving by, they see that. You live in an apartment complex, brother. So you got blood just dripping on the carpet or on the hardwood floor, man. You left the basin out there. It's a stench going on, and you in there in mirth, man. So again, you may not be able. Now, if you live like in the country somewhere, you got you kind of by yourself, and you're able to get that, hey, by all means. But real quick, go to Judges 5 and 11. We're rehearsing the righteous acts, man. So brother might say, look, I can't do that, man. Right? I'll be in jail before I eat my unleavened bread. I'll use red tape. Brother might use red tape, put that over his door, man. He might get the spirit of it, man. Right, so bring that up.
It's the book of Judges, chapter 5 and verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers and the places of drawing water, there they shall rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates.
That's right, man. So we're rehearsing the righteous acts. All right, we may not get everything perfect. And again, don't be discouraged if you can't follow every ordinance to the T. Remember, we're in captivity, man. Right? You pray for mercy, we pray for grace, and we're keeping it to the best of our ability in this flesh, man. And brothers, just put out there, if you want to find that list of everything with leaven in it, it's pinned on the WFI IG. So if you go on Instagram, Watching for Israel, I believe, you'll see that list posted on there. Right? So go on to Exodus chapter 12, King.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter
12.
12.
It says, and none of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning. Right? So that was in the ancient world. Remember, we were leaving. So we left when the Lord told us to leave. So ain't no eating the Passover, then I'm going to go kick it at my auntie house. Or I heard they playing spades over at my uncle's house, man. Right? And then you're just doing whatever. Keep it holy. So read on.
For the Lord will pass through and smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you.
Right?
And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass when you be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you.
So your children got to know about the Passover. Like we always say, they can't think it's lamb night, right? Okay, it was Taco Tuesday. Okay, we normally eat leftovers on Wednesday. Okay, now it's lamb night Thursdays, right? And they're just trying to figure out why they're eating bitter herbs and they're picking at their vegetables, and they don't know what's going on, man. Tell them this is the Passover, man. They should be in the spirit of the Lord, man, and knowing what they're getting themselves involved in, right?
And it shall come to pass when your
I was going to say, children are visual learners too, right? It's plenty of cartoon movies that you can watch and explain to them. We all seen it, The Prince of Egypt, right? Watch it with your children and explain to them what's really going on and why the ordinance of how they kept it is how we keep it, right? And that's more along the lines of brown-skinned people, right? You're not watching it with, what's the dude? Charleston Heston. So
that's right.
What's the name of the movie?
Prince of Egypt.
That's right, man. So be mindful of that, man. So your children should know about this law. So go on. It's not just another lamb night for them, man. Right? So read on.
Verse 26. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service?
They might ask, why are we eating lamb? Well, I don't know. It's in the Bible, right? It's somewhere in there, right? Something about a Passover. Just eat it, right? No, man, you got to know what this thing is about. So read on.
That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshiped.
So that's where the word goes into. The death angel, the Lord, literally passed over every house that had the blood of the lamb on it. And if you had the blood of the lambs or on the blood of the lamb on the lintel and the doorpost of your house, the destruction would pass over you, then go to the next house, and then pass over that. Then it would go to the Egyptians and slay the firstborn of man and beast. And spiritually now, we're a house, right? And we're sanctified by the blood of the lamb. Go to real quick, 1 Peter 1:1. Huh? So when the destruction comes with the chariots and the missiles and all hell break loose, it's going to pass over us if we're part of that number. Huh? So bring that out, King. 1 Peter 1:1.
It's the book of 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father.
Right, these are the elect. Go on.
Through sanctification of the Spirit unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahushua. Grace unto you and peace be multiplied.
Right, so that's plain. So the elect are sprinkled with the blood of Yahushua, man. So no matter what, when that destruction comes, the elect are going to be delivered.
Right.
Because their body you have something? Go to 2 Corinthians 5:1. Right? The Lord calls us houses, man. Right? 2 Corinthians 5:1.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse number 1. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, an house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens.
Right. So the Lord said you have an earthly house. What is your earthly house? This body. The Lord said, peradventure your house is dissolved, meaning your body decomposes. Your spirit has another place that it dwells in. Your spirit doesn't just vaporize or go in the midst of the dark night in the moonlight. Your spirit has another house. There's a spiritual body and a spiritual habitation that your spirit lives in when it's not on the earth. Right? Bring it up.
It's the book of Job, chapter 4 and verse 19. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay.
So our spirit dwells in houses of clay. We're formed out of the clay. Go on.
Whose foundation is in the dust.
Our foundation is in the dust, which what?
Which are crushed before the moth.
See that? So the Most High says we dwell in houses of clay. Every brother's body is a house, man. And you have to treat your house in wisdom and knowledge. So again, the Lord said you can't have any leaven in your house. Yeah, let's talk about your physical house. What about your spirit, man? And your body, man? So again, you don't want to have all of these demons inside of you. Go to Matthew 12 and 43. Right? Matthew 12 and 43.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12 and verse 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest and findeth none.
So you might have a demon in you. It could be an unclean spirit, right? You might evict that spirit out through prayer and through fasting, right? Through counsel, through repentance, and that demon will leave you. But that demon, he's looking for somewhere to dwell, looking for anybody that he can hop on, anybody that's vulnerable, and anybody that's not in the spirit. Go on.
Then he said, I will return into my house.
I will do what?
I will return into my house.
What house is he talking about? Where he lives inside of you, man.
Right.
Because he knows that you really don't want him to leave. You got brothers know what a squatter is. A squatter is somebody just in your house, man. They might be eating up your food, running up your gas bill, right? Might be throwing a party in there, man. Brothers, I remember Tom and Jerry, man. This man Tom used to just bring all types of people in the house, man. The black cat, right? The damn orange cat with the hat. It's a damn band going on. It's a music performance. And yeah. Jerry bumping in the bed. He can't sleep. There's a party going on, man. That's how these demons get, man. These demons, they'll go back and they'll bring more demons with them, man. Right? So read on, King.
From whence I came out, and when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished.
Right, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished, man. So a brother might get rid of a spirit, and the spirit might leave, but then he'll come back to you to see if you're really going to replace that spirit with something righteous, man. Because a squatter can see if nobody's living there. If it's empty, swept, and garnished, you know he got a spot to live at, man. Especially when it's dark, right? But when the lights are on, oh look, somebody's in there. Right, somebody lives there. I see the lights on the top floor and the bottom floor. It's full of light. I can't dwell there. I'll be exposed. But when it's dark and empty, he's kind of looking through. There ain't nobody in here, man. I'm gonna dwell in this house. Right. So go on, King.
Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits.
How many more?
7 other spirits.
So he takes 7 more spirits. So that was 8 of them. Right? Infinity. Go on.
More wicked than himself.
So you might have got rid of I don't know, a slander demon. Now you got an adultery demon inside of you. Then you got a blaspheming demon. Now you're borderline atheist. Now you're just committing lewdness, right? And then guess what, man? Now you have killed your brother out of rage, man. So now you have 7 other spirits more wicked dwelling in your house. Read on.
And they entered in and dwelt there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation.
That's this wicked generation that won't accept Yahweh Shai, man. And all of these demons that dwell in your house and these spirits, you gotta purge out. They hide behind the closet. They hiding under the couch. They hide behind the refrigerator. They're not just gonna be sitting on the couch and, hey, purge me out. And then you open up the door and they just get up and leave. I had my fun here, right? Thanks. I'll be back next year. No, man, they're gonna fight to get out, man. Right? And these squatters don't leave easily, man. They might get paperwork, right? Like what the law says that you've been gone for 160 days. Well, that means I have a right to be here, and now you got to take them to court. And there's one more count. There's this a sister who posted a video. She owns an Airbnb. I her brother saw this, and there was this woman there. And she was recording, so they was like, look, she won't leave. Then you heard the woman clacking her flip-flops going to the kitchen, man, who wouldn't leave the Airbnb, man. Someone stopped recording me. Right? She had her pajamas on and said, you ain't gonna get rid of me though. So these demons ain't gonna leave easy, man. Like a squatter, somebody who you come back to Airbnb and they don't want to leave, man. So that's how these demons are, man. So you gotta fight to get rid of this leaven. You got to fight to get rid of these spirits, man. It won't be easy. It requires examination, prayer, fasting, counsel, and, diligence, man.
God, let's go to Hebrews 9:9. And that's why the scriptures say, prove your own souls, right? And see what's good unto you, right? You know what you're battling. You know what demon is really tearing you up, right? So you really got to work hard coming into this Passover season. And you got to present yourself as a perfect garment before the Lord, as perfect as you can get it. Right? This is a challenging point, man. Right? Passover wasn't comfortable. They wasn't sitting after eating the lamb laid up with their feet up, relaxing. No, all hell was breaking loose, man. Could you imagine the screams going on all throughout the land of Egypt? Right? Babies dropping dead, firstborn cattle dropping. It was probably all hell breaking loose in Egypt. Right? That's the mind frame you gotta have going into Passover. Right? Yes, we have grace. Yes, we have mercy, but the Most High's grace and mercy is running out real soon. It is not promised that it's going to be given unto you. And that's the mind frame you have to have going into Passover. Right? We get Hebrews 9:9.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 9, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices.
Right? This is talking about before Yahushua came, when we had the law of sacrifice. You would go to the priesthood, you would bring bullocks, lamb, whatever the offering was fit for, that's what you would bring, right? It was for the time.
That could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience.
Right, and you know how Israel is. They pre-plan sins. Right, let me put this lamb to the side because I know I'm about to go commit adultery. Let me put this bullock over here because I'm about to murder this dude on the 15th at sundown. Right, that's how Israel was, because your conscience was still condemned. Even though we may fast, we may repent, your conscience is still telling you you're not worthy. Your conscience is still telling you, you remember you did that sin, right?
Which stood only in meats and drinks, and diverse washings, and carnal ordinances imposed on them until the time of reformation.
Right.
But Yahushua, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle.
And what's another word for tabernacle? Temple, or your house, or your home, right? A more perfect tabernacle.
Not made with hands. That is to say, not of this building.
And what's that more perfect tabernacle? Himself. He offered himself up to be that perfect sacrifice without blemish, right?
Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
Right.
For if the blood of bulls and of goats and of the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctified to the purification of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Yahushua, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from their works to serve the living God.
How much more the body of the Lord shall clear your conscience, knowing you have an advocate up there in the spirit world, up there in the third heaven, pleading the case for you, right? What's the dude with the glove? What's his name? No, the lawyer, Johnny Cochran, right? Johnny Cochran was considered the top lawyer back in the day, or the Kardashian dude, right? They got OJ off when, everybody was against him. How much more the Lord, man? Right? The Lord is literally up there pleading, this man did this, and this, but my blood is sanctifying him, so I know he can become a new creature every day. Right? I know he's worthy to do this. Right? That's how important it is to understand that the Passover, which is the Lord, is way more important now than it was back then. Right? Because back then, it was already foreseen that we were leaving out of Egypt, right? It was already told. They understood the ordinances, but now it's a whole different ball game. You got Israel who don't know. Israel who was in Lord knows what type of lifestyle they were in. Now the blood of the Lord is cleansing them, presenting them holy, right? So this is an extremely important, and we always say that we take this high holy day as important as any other one. This and the Day of Atonement. So yes, we stress the importance of being blameless for Passover. Right? It doesn't mean that we don't show mercy. Doesn't mean that we're not sincere or we don't want to help our brothers up when they fall. It'd be a disservice for us to let you think that Passover, we go in there and we about to play spades and listen to Lil Baby and do whatever. Oh, man.
That's right. Go to Exodus 12 and 8. Right? It's another thing.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse number 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night roast with fire.
So again, like Amos was saying, your lamb has to be roasted with fire.
And unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat.
Right, and then the bitter herbs. So you make sure you get bitter herbs, right? Iceberg lettuce is not bitter herbs. Romaine lettuce is not bitter herbs, right? Now we could put a list. I believe we put a list out there before, but we'll put a list out there again. Your best bitter herbs, through experience, is your horseradish root, your ginger. You understand? Those are really strong bitter herbs. Dandelion is another herb, as well. Lemongrass, somewhat, right? So those are a few bitter herbs. Not peppermint. Peppermint is not a bitter herb. Or what's another one? Brothers like to do. Mint. Aloe vera. Rub it. You said what? Yeah, ginger is a good one, right? So these are bitter herbs that you want to do, man. And it's not a competition who can eat the most bitter herbs, right? Or putting the ranch on them, or blue cheese, man, or French, Thousand Island, Caesar salad, man. You're making a Caesar salad, man. Or you take your bitter herbs. I mean, one piece of unleavened bread, you kind of take a butter knife and put some Thousand Island dressing on it, like you making a damn sandwich. Then you take pieces of meat off your lamb and put it on there, and then you take your other piece of unleavened bread, and you kind of, before you make the sandwich, you cut up your bitter herbs and put on it and make a sandwich, man.
Passover sandwich.
A Passover patty. The Lord is not dealing with Passover patties, man. Right, a wrap, man. Right, bring it up, King.
I just wanted to share like a story about how serious it is. One year, a brother, laughed at me because I had tears coming out my eye from the bitter herbs, and that brother that laughed at me, like, he's taking it as a joke. He's not the truth no more.
Wow.
Not saying that's the reason why, but that's how serious it can be.
Yeah, this thing is serious, man. This thing is serious, man.
Will rosemary be considered as a bitter herb?
I would have to look into it. I can't call it off the top of the head, King.
They got what is it? Fennel. You ever heard fennel? Fennel leaf?
No, yeah, I heard of peppermint, yeah. So we'll put a list together. What we'll do is we'll put a list together. We had one last year. Maybe one of the scribes have it. We'll post it along with the list of things that are other names for yeast. So brothers can look at the bitter herbs. You will put the wine together, the best things to get, and even the things that pertain to the unleavened bread. So everybody can go into the Passover in advance, assured that they are keeping it to the best of their ability. Right?
And start preparing to get rid of all that leaven now. You know what I'm saying? Somebody asked in the comments, can we reiterate? It's important to remove all leaven from out of your house, right? If you have small children, check in their rooms, right? Kids are known to hide snacks and chips under their bed. Right. You find wrappers from months ago, right? So double check and go look. Vacuum the corners. Do all you can, like the brother said. Check under the mattresses. Check under the sofa seats. Right, it's extremely important to make sure all leaven is removed, right? Because kids, they get Cheez-Its and drop them everywhere, right? Say they ate them, and you may not find it until during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Don't be caught sleeping during that time.
That's right. Now go to Exodus chapter 12 and read verse 11.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
So you can't eat this like anything else, man. Right? Read it again.
And thus shall ye eat it.
So you have to follow this to the detail, man. That's why it's real serious, man, because one slip up, you tempting the Most High. Right? So you want to be patient and examine yourself and make sure you're following these ordinances. There's more ordinances on the Passover than the majority of the other high holy days, man. And these aren't in there by accident. That's too much. That's too burdensome. How come I have to eat? How come I can't take my time? Right? Go on.
And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded.
Your loins girded, meaning in modern day terms, don't unbuckle your belt, man, and kick your feet up and turn on the Lakers, man. And then you got one TV on the Lakers, then you playing Call of Duty, man. Eating your lamb, man. You're eating with your loins girded. Go on.
Your shoes on your feet.
Right. Your shoes on your feet. Why do we have to have shoes on our feet? We leaving right out of Egypt. Right? So you're supposed to, I don't wear shoes in my house. I don't wear out. The Lord, I understand. I put my socks on. Right? No, that's not what the Bible says, man. Right? That's not what the scriptures say. So read on.
And your staff in your hand.
So if you get a staff, man. Right? You can get one from, you can get a walking stick, man. From Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods. You go to a sporting goods spot, Bass Pro Shops, something to get a stick if you can't get a custom-made staff. I know it's late, brothers do staffs. And you can go outside, man. Go outside and walk around, man. You'll find yourself a staff. Right? And do what you gotta do, man. You have to kind of get a branch down and you want to eat it with a staff in your hand, man. All right? Cool.
And ye shall eat it in haste.
Maybe take your time.
And ye shall eat it in haste.
Does that mean you just shove the whole thing in your mouth at one time? No, use some wisdom, huh? Now you'll choke like that, man. But again, you eat it in haste, right? You eat it. It's not a dinner. It's not a night out of town, man. When you conversating about 1,000 things, man. You chopping it up, then you kind of take a break and eat it. And get up, go to the bathroom, come back, and you heat it back up because it got cold. Can you put my lamb back on the grill? Right? No, man. You eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. And you got to eat the bitter herbs too. Right. A lot of brothers just want to drink the wine and eat the lamb. Then you go see their plate. It's a whole bunch of bitter herbs there. Well, I had a few of them. Hey, clean your plate, man. Whatever's on your plate, you got to clean that thing, man. Right? To the best of your ability. Now, what about children and wine? People say, well, what about my baby? Right? Can my baby have wine? My child. Now, in this man's system, you got to be 21, right? I know certain people that, like I brought up before, they may dip their finger in the wine thing and kind of put it on the baby tongue, right? And then they had their wine, right? Or some people, if your child is 16, 17, you might, kind of, do what you got to do, man. Right? But are you going to give him 3 cups of wine and he's 12 years old? All hell is going to break loose, man. You get your 11-year-old a big glass of wine, and now he's overthrew the feast day. He's flipping over the grill, right? He's knocking the plates down here on the table, man. He's running around. You know what I'm saying? It's going right through him, and all hell is breaking loose, man. So be mindful of how you deal with the lamb and how you deal with the wine. You know? All right, so we're going to move on to the next question. Go on, bring it up.
This is the book of 1 Esdras, chapter 1 and verse number 6. Offer the Passover in order and make ready the sacrifices for your brethren and keep the Passover according to the commandment of the Lord, which was given unto Moses.
Right, that's plain. It says in order. All right, that was a good precept. All right, next question from Eliab Gad. Shabbat Shalom in Exodus 12:11. It says to eat the Lord's Passover and briefly touches on a cloak and sandals. Is there specific attire that should be worn while celebrating the Lord's Passover? No, you don't have to have specific attire on, right? But again, you don't want to put your beater on, right? A beater, which, spaghetti stains and your boxers, man. Right? Remember, you're wearing the spirit of leaving Egypt at this time. That's what the Lord said, your loins girded. When your loins are girded, you're making moves, which means you don't have lounge pajamas on and lounge attire on. You have warlike apparel, or you had your garment on, huh? And you are ready to leave in haste. So it's no exact specific things. It's no color coded. It's not about a garment, right? But again, it's also not about lounging and laying back and putting on your just having the beater on, man. And some Nike shorts. You do want to have your shoes on your feet, and you do want to be in the spirit as if you were ready to leave out of your captivity. Right? Just dress how you would dress if all hell broke loose and you have to leave your house. Right? Does that mean get my bug out bag? No, not your bug out bag. Don't put your thing on the side, man. Just dress, accordingly as if you have to leave that night. Okay, come on.
Let's go to 1 Maccabees 14. Let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 14. And we're going to start at verse 8.
It's the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 14 and verse number 8. Then did they till their ground in peace, and the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit. The ancient men sat in all the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on their glorious and warlike apparel.
So make sure you have on your glorious warlike apparel, right? Like the brother said, don't show up to Passover looking like a bum, right? Present yourself before the Lord looking like that, right? Put on something nice, man. Make sure you got fringes on. Brothers show garments that they're getting. If this is the only time you wear a garment, then make sure it's a glorious warlike garment.
That's right. And no, it's not about, give me Sirach 11:4 too. You got to bring this up. Right? Because the brother said, oh yeah. Right? And then put a spirit on him, man. He show up fashionably late. Right? As soon as everybody eating the lamb, he show up so everybody can see his garment. Right? Bring that up. You know brothers like that. They show up according to their garment selection. They know they can make it early, but that garment they want a lot of people there, man, so they can see that garment. Or they walking all around. They just so everybody can see their garment. Brother, sit down, brother. I gotta go to the back. I gotta get up. Right? Taking your garment, moving it around the back part, man. Brother, we saw it the first time, man.
Putting your shoes on the table.
Yeah, brother, nobody needs to see that, man. Bring that up.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11 and verse 4. Boast not of thy clothing and raiment.
What the Lord say?
Boast not of thy clothing and raiment.
Hey, don't wear the tag, man. You made your own tag, right? And put 777 on the money sign, man. And how much your garment costs? My garment better. You see what that brother got on? Who made that? All right. Right? Go on.
And exalt not thyself in the day of honor.
And don't exalt yourself, man. The one that's going to exalt you is Yahweh. Bashim Yahushua. So don't boast of your garment, man. If you got a nice garment, hey, do it, man. Do your thing. Right? Real quick, go to Ecclesiastes 2:23. Right? If you got a nice garment, that's fine, man. But is that what the Passover is all about? No. Bring that up.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2 and verse 23. For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yet his heart taketh no rest in the night. This also is vanity.
Right. So we have hell, man, that we catch. We're stressed out. We deal with anxiety. You have nightmares. Even when you sleep, you might get attacked by a demon. You might be tossing to and fro. You might wake up in cold sweats. So you have no rest in the night. So here's what the Lord said. Here's the solution.
There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink.
So you got to offset that stress, man. You got to find the balance in this truth, man. Right? You want to feel good about particular things, man. It's okay to eat your favorite meal every now and then, man. Right? It's okay to put on a nice garment, man. Hey, stress kills you, they say, man. Right. Even Esau said you release endorphins and certain chemicals in your brain that cause you to smile and feel good, man. And that comes with eating good and drinking good and taking care of yourself. And hey, brothers know what it feels like when you look good, man. You know you look good, man. Right? And it put a smile on your face, man. It does something to your spirit. So you have to show up to the Passover with sackcloth on, huh? And ashes on your forehead, trying to be the most over-righteous, humble brother. Yeah, it ain't about all of that. It ain't about the garment. Right? I got my sackcloth on and my ashes. Where the lamb at? You just show up and you stand off in the corner with your sackcloth on. Right? Trying to be somebody, brother. Right? So go on.
And that he should make his soul enjoy good of his labor.
And also, it's a time, it's very solemn, but also, it's also a time of rejoicing because this is the time that the Most High delivered us out of Egypt, huh? So keep that in your forefront too. Yeah, it's about the body and blood of our Lord, but also it's about, again, the time of us being departed out of Egypt. And we had a song that we sang, man, in Exodus the 15th chapter. Yahweh Shah sung a hymn when you read the Gospels, man, with the apostles. So it's a time of also rejoicing, but also you don't want that to turn into folly and vanity, man. Right? So that's all I have on that. So you want to move on to the next question?
Go, go.
All right, next question. From Elijah Jones. As vegetarians, is it an obligation to eat the lamb? Yes, you have to eat the lamb. Right? You have to eat the lamb. We're going to turn to a carnivore real soon. 9 days. Right? We're going to eat some lamb.
Right.
If you I've never had lamb, right? I only eat chicken. People, Jake, real picky, man. You're real picky about what you eat and what you don't eat. I'm on this kind of keto diet. I'm on my low carbs.
Oh well.
Right. Well, you better eat that lamb, brother. He said, you picking at it, and brother, this is the body of the Lord that we're dealing with.
Somebody, it was a brother who was in the camp many moons ago. The brother was a vegetarian. Passover came, he ate lamb. That man was what you say, a carnivore?
That's right. That's
Man,
right.
he ate more chicken, lamb than we did in a year.
That's right.
In a whole amount of a week.
That's right, man. So if you were a vegetarian, yes, you have to eat lamb for the Passover. All right. Okay, from Princess Ahava. Shalom. Are you allowed to work during the Passover? No. Right. We read that earlier. That no. The only work that can be done is the work that pertains to cooking, prepping for the feast day. So again, you might make unleavened bread. You might have to lift up and put some olive oil on the table or do things of that nature. But clocking in and working from home and going out and doing DoorDash and doing Uber, while the lamb is cooking, is off, man. So no work on the Passover.
Let's go to Leviticus 23 and 6, Papa Show. You shouldn't want to work on the Passover, right? The Lord commanded us not to work. You better take off, right? Let them know that you got a sick family member and you have bereavement, right? Or you go to work the day before coughing and sneezing, so you think you might have COVID. I can't say that.
Maybe now.
Yeah,
Maybe now.
I don't know.
It's kind of died out. We'll see.
Yeah, you had coffee.
We'll see in a few days.
Yeah.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, chapter 23 and verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of the unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Right, so that April 3rd to April 4th, no work. We can jump to we can read the next verse too. Sure.
But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
So the ending of the feast of unleavened bread as well is a holy convocation of the Sabbath.
Right.
Right. No doing work that day either.
That's right. That's right.
My surgery is scheduled for I should change the day.
Yeah, kind of. If you can, kind. Okay, next question. Okay, T. Sellers question. How much we cook the lamb for Passover? Do we cook lamb for the entire time, then burn the bones for the 8 days? I want to do things right. Well, you cook your lamb over fire, right? Make sure it's done. It's well done. Like Amos brought up earlier, no pink in the lamb. And again, just reiterating, once you're done your lamb and there's nothing more to eat, or you have excess lamb that nobody can eat, that's when you burn your lamb. You don't do it for 8 days, right? You do it that first night of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that Passover. All right, so realistically, if you have a whole lamb, if you're roasting that whole lamb, that might take, 5 hours or so, give or take. And then you got to think about the meal that you're eating. So you'll be burning your lamb. If the sun goes down around 7 p.m. or so, you'll be burning your lamb around 3 in the morning or so, man. For brothers that are doing whole lambs and roasting them, or you may have a congregation or whatever the case may be, you'll be burning the lamb late. And a lot of brothers don't go home till around 4 or 5 in the morning, man. You're up all night on the Passover. And guess what? When you're go to Matthew chapter 26, King, right? That's why Yahushua said this, man. Go to Matthew 26 and 37. Start at 37.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 37. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then said he unto them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me.
So this is the time after they ate the Passover. So he said, tarry ye here and watch with me. Read on.
And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt.
Right?
And he cometh unto his disciples and findeth them asleep.
And does what?
And findeth them asleep.
Why were they asleep, man? It's been a long day. This is late at night. Right? Go on.
And saith unto Peter, what, can ye not watch with me 1 hour?
Right. Now, this is around anywhere between around 1 and 2 a.m. Because remember, Peter heard the cock crow twice. Now the cock crows around 3 a.m. So this is around 1, 2 in the morning, man. And they were kind of falling asleep. So read on.
Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
So that's what this thing is about, man. So even spiritually, you want to be praying that you don't enter into temptation. Because as that Passover night waxes longer and longer and longer, you have to be mindful of what the apostles experienced, man. And what Yahushua told the apostles. So there's a lot to really think about and consider during this Passover, man. Because if you fall asleep, guess what? It's over, man. Imagine falling asleep right there and Yahushua need you to be there with, man. And because the flesh causes you to move in that direction. So read on.
He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may be not passed away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he said, and he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy.
For their eyes were heavy, man. So again, your Passover is going to be all night. Even the apostles, they're mightier than any of us, man. Psalms 144, and they were falling asleep, man. Right? And they were tired and they were up all night, man. So we have to fight, man. You have to fight that spirit of sleep in the night on a spiritual level, man. Because these spirits going to try to put you to sleep, man. Send you back into the world, send you back into darkness, and you're going to feel weak in the flesh. Feel like you want to give up, feel like you want to go back into being whoever you used to be before the truth. But Yahushua told you, what? You can't watch 1 hour, man. Right? But you can't stay up. So we got to stay up spiritually. And that's what that late Passover is teaching you, to stay up on a physical level and stay up on a spiritual level. That's why it runs all night, man. It's not because, well, I don't know, the Most High didn't have nothing else to do. These laws are spiritual. And you got to see how they're practical in your walk in this truth, man. Don't just say I'm up all night and it is what it is. You have to consider what's going on, even in the Gospels, man, and tie them together. So it's a very, very serious high holy day, man. Yes. All right, so next question. Okay, we covered that. Which one is it? Okay, ancients knew, why don't we? Question. Should we put blood on the doorpost, or is there something? Okay, we covered that one. You can use tape, right? Red tape. Okay, next question. A lot of these questions we may have answered, right? Let's see. Okay, question. Is a brother going off if he barely teaches household, and when he do it, it's every other week or every other weekend? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11. Right? Deuteronomy 11. So a brother should be teaching his household. Right? Now, I'll put it like, you may not have the time to teach them as often as you want to, man, because you may work. Some brothers work 50 hours, man. 55 hours, 45 hours, man. You may, brothers, may have a lot on their plate, man. But you should make that best effort to, go over a chapter, 2 chapters or so, whatever, however you delegate your household of righteousness, man, to build them up in the spirit, man. So bring that up.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11 and verse 19. And ye shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house.
So when you sitting in the house, man, guess what? Y'all should be talking about the scriptures. Of course, you're going to have that time of mirth and, folly with your children, man, and you playing with them, and, but guess what? It should all come back to the spirit of the Most High. Right? Go on.
And when thou walkest by the way.
When you walking by the way, man, hey, what's that precept? Right? What's that? Like I asked my daughter, hey, look, hey, what are these, man? Shoes, fringes. So, you kind of keep them sharp in the house, man. Right? She's like, Daddy, God. And she points to the phone because we be going over things. I show her like pictures, like Amos was saying, pictures and stuff on the phone, man, about the scriptures and stuff like that. So that's stuff that you could do to kind of follow that commandment when it says walking by the way. So read on.
When thou liest down,
Hey, before they go to bed, man. Ain't no reading Jack and the Beanstalk till they pass out, man. Or an old lady in a shoe. You got a book of bedtime stories, man. The tortoise and the hare. No, man, y'all should be talking about the scriptures, man. Right, go on.
and when thou risest up,
And when you wake up, you throwing up your prayers with your family, man. Right? Some folks, they got to get up early, go to work. But hey, when you come back in, hey, look, y'all throwing up prayers, man. Right? You establish order in the house, man. Read on.
and thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house.
Yeah, that's not literal. Don't mean you literally put it on a doorpost. What is that going into? The spirit got to be in your house. The spirit of the Lord got to be in your house. So everybody coming in and everybody leaving, they should know that the spirit of the Lord is in that house right there. Go on.
And upon thy gates.
And upon your gates, man. Meaning your cities and your community centers, it should all be with the laws of the Most High God. So yeah, if a brother is intentionally and willfully neglecting his household and not teaching them the scriptures and takes other things and puts that above that's not spiritual, then yeah, that's going on. Right?
The classic, Joshua 24:15. The classic 24:15, Joshua.
It's the book of Joshua, chapter 24, and verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods be which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwelt. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
And that's how every Israelite mind frame has to be, right? Your children should know, like we just read in Exodus 12, your children should know what Passover is about. They should know when the Sabbath is. They should know the ordinance of the Sabbath, right? They should know the other high holy days. Shoot, get a calendar, right? Get a big calendar, write the high holy days, do the countdown to it, right? In the world, you had the, when so-called Christmas was coming up, they had you eating that nasty chocolate in that box.
Right.
And you eat the chocolate countdown to Christmas. Do the
cross off the calendar.
Yeah, cross it off. Do the same thing with the high holy days, right? Your kids should love when Purim come around. They should know when it's coming around. They should know what destruction of Nicanor is about, right? Because all the ways of the world, right, we're not following in the wickedness that our forefathers used to follow in. We following in the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua now. And they should know that. There shouldn't be a question.
John, go real quick. Go to Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 17. That's what I want.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 54, and verse 17.
Start at 15.
Verse 15. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever.
54 and 13.
54 and verse 13.
Right?
And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord.
Read that again.
And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord.
Right?
And great shall be the peace of thy
So
children.
the Lord said all of our children have to be taught of the Lord, man. Taught of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's how it's going to be in the kingdom. And we have to start moving in that spirit and stop letting the Christian church teach our children. And these wicked teachers, man, who are bringing all types of abominable men into the school system, man. And warlocks and wizards and shapeshifters and all types of spirits, man. So brothers should be teaching their children according to the laws of the Most High, man. They should know what the Bible is. Right? You can't be the only brother in the truth in your house, man. It's all about me. It is what it is, man. I'm gonna make it. No, brother, teach your wife, man. Right? Teach your children. Your wife should be teaching the children, man. You might read to your household. You might break a thing down every now and then. You have something on. Okay, come on. You might do these things, man. So that's spiritual. All right, so we can move on. We're gonna get a few more. We wind it down. Okay. Where are y'all holding Passover? Okay, we're holding Passover in Detroit, but you know it's in-house. It's an in-house deal, right? It's an in-house deal.
So like the sister that asked that her husband's not in the truth from what was being told. Well, you got to be that example of righteousness.
Okay.
Right. You got to be that example of righteousness, right? To the unbelieving husband, right? Show him that it's not just we sit around on the Sabbath. Explain to him as well, right? He should be won by your conversation.
I was about to get that. 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter. Right, 1 Peter 3 and 1. All right, so that's good clarification.
This is the book of First Peter, chapter 3 and verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husband.
Because it's easy to say, well, my husband, he's not in the truth. I'm going to just do God knows what. Right? Go on.
That if any obey not the word, they also may be without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
You see that? So a sister might bring her husband into the truth based off of her actions and her behavior. He might notice changes in her, how she talks. May have been what we say an NIGGA woman, right? But now he's noticing that she's meek, she's humble, she's a little more modest. He's like, something's different about you. What is it? What's changing you? Right? And then she says, well, look, I'm going to show you. And she kind of showed him, hey, look, this and that. And well, we the Israelites, we chosen people, whatever. And then he was like, wow, that's something. He may not fully come to it that day, but hey, that seed is planted, huh? And now he's kind of interested because his life is affected by your behavior. And your behavior is moving in a more righteous manner, huh? And that happens. You have women in the truth whose husbands are in the world, but husbands coming to the truth. We've heard it, man. Based off of how women operate pertaining to their husbands. Because some women leave that husband, they put him away, which is not biblical, then they get a man of the Lord in the truth. Or they always ask to get counsel about how wicked their husband is, just so they could get with a brother in the truth, man. Come up with any old reason, man. He doesn't take out the trash. He works 50 hours a week, and he only reads 3 chapters. I want to read 6. Is there any brother that anything that I can do? I know the scripture says I can separate from my husband. Isn't that 1 Corinthians 7? What do you think about it, almighty Attire, thou man of God? Right? What are those? You brought out 10 precepts. Can you please feed me one? Then right, but hey, guess what, man? She's married. And guess what? If it's the will of Yahweh Shai, her husband is slowly coming to the truth, man. Right? And vice versa for men that have unbelieving wives. The Lord said the husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else, when your children are clean, but now they are clean, paraphrasing it. We're sanctified, paraphrasing it. Right? All right, so we're going to get a few more. Love pious. Are different time zones in the Bible? Are we all supposed to acknowledge the Sabbath the same time all over the world? And when it is Saturday, where are you at? Well, in this captivity, we are subject to this man's system, huh? So it would be hard for every brother because it'll be dark out there. We're telling the brother overseas, like if London is 5 hours from now. So right now is 3:23. Right, it's 8 o'clock. We talk to brothers over there. And it's 5 hours somewhere in China, the Philippines, man. Then it's 3 hours out back in California, man. It's 2 hours, or it's an hour central time zone. Right. So you can't do it like that because every brother lives in different places on the earth. Right. So if the Sabbath is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, the sun is going to go down out here in the East Coast, so-called 3 hours according to the course of the heavens before out in California. Right. So that's how it goes. That's a good question though, but that's how it goes. Okay, next question. Will you brothers be live again for the Passover? I truly love it last year. We did a live class. We'll do a live lesson, right? A live Passover class, right? A live Passover class. And Lord willing, we can kind of record it a little bit more and kind of, put it together so Israel can kind of see how the Passover, that this truth isn't just shaking a hand, right? That may be somebody's perception. They just go out there and get on the nations. No, man, we enjoy each other's company. We have families. Brothers have wives and children. Children, they do their thing. They running around in righteousness. The sisters are in order, right? The husbands are doing their thing. So, it's a time of mirth and joy, man, to be around one another, man. Right? Passover's in Detroit. We can talk about it, King. Lord willing. Okay, Shaka Z. Why was Jacob wrestling with the angel? Was it even a physical contest, or was it a form of debate? So it wasn't a debate, right? Go to the book of Genesis, right? It wasn't a debate.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 32 and verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
So this is read it again.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
Right. So there was an angel that wrestled with him until the breaking of the day, till the sun came up. Go on.
And when he saw that he prevailed not against him,
So the angel saw that he couldn't get up or have one over on Jacob. Read on.
he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint,
Right.
as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I would not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name should be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed.
Right. So that literally happened. He literally wrestled an angel. Right. And spiritually, you can do an entire lesson off of this. Right. You can do an entire lesson off of that. But spiritually, Jacob's or Israel, we have a condition that we have to go through. Right. The condition of the battle is that we have to go through fire and through water. We have to wrestle demons. We got to wrestle these spirits. It's a fight. It's a struggle, right? That we have until the breaking of the day. Now, spiritually, what is the breaking of the day? Let's go to Malachi. Okay. Oh, you got a precept?
Nah, you got it.
All right, let's go to Malachi, the 4th chapter, to the sun arise with the healing of his wings. I believe that's Malachi 4. So the spiritual breaking of the day is when Yahweh Shah returns. The Lord said in Song of Solomon until the day. Yeah, let's get that one first. Come. We go to the 2nd chapter, the 4th chapter. You can do either one.
This is the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 2, and verse number 17. Until the breaking, until the day break.
Until the day break, meaning till it transitions from night until day. Go on.
And the shadows flee away.
The shadows represent sin and darkness and confusion and lust and pride. Go on.
Turn, my beloved, and be thou like a roe or a young hart upon the mountains of Bethel.
Right. So the breaking of the day is when Yahweh Shah returns. So spiritually, we're wrestling now. We're living the life of Jacob. We're wrestling stress. We're wrestling no sleep. We're wrestling physical pain. We're wrestling demons. We're fighting against ourselves, the old man. And guess what? It's going to be a strong, long fight until the breaking of the day. Right? Go on. Let's go to Malachi real quick. If you have something else. Right? I want to get this precept in the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 2.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings.
And that word son is spelled S-U-N-N-E. Right? Yahweh Shah is likened unto a son. Go on.
And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall.
So Yahweh Shah is that son coming up for the breaking of the day. Right? And we're going to be wrestling and struggling and fighting until the breaking of the day. And it's not going to be easy. In a wrestling match, they do points, right? One guy might get a point, 2 points, and another guy might get a point. But at the end of the day, Jacob overcame the angel. Right? So whatever you're dealing with, you're already going to overcome that. If you come from that seed line through the spirit, you're going to overcome that lust, overcome that pride, overcome that love that's inside of you. And you'll be Israel, and you'll have power with God and with men once you receive that crown on your head.
So let's go to Sirach 40 and 1.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 40, and verse number 1. Great travail is created for every man, and an heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam, from the day that they go forth, from the day that they go out of their mother's womb, to the day that they return to the mother of all things.
Right. So that's from when you're born until you die. Right. You're going to have to go through ups, downs, left and right. Right. Another metaphor of daybreak. Right. When you return and then you get sleep. Right. So, that's just our forefathers battling, things that have to come upon us in these last days.
That's right. That's right. I believe we answered this one too. To Tapua, or Salaki, we butchered the name. When removing leaven out of your house, is it only pertaining to food consumption or daily household products as well? It's mainly food consumption, right? Mainly food consumption. There are things that have leaven in it, like clean. It might be an ingredient in bleach or something like that, but yeah, shampoo. But really, it's your food products
And toothpaste as well.
That's right. Something that you ingest or eat or things of that nature. Okay. Let's see. I'm sorry, I missed something. There's okay. Well, it's posted. How do we deal with sexual tension in the Bible? Is a nocturnal emission a sin? How do we deal with it? Go to 1 Corinthians real quick, chapter 7 and 1.
I didn't know that was the question.
Yeah.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 7 and verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman.
Yeah, because a man should be solely focused on the Most High. Go on.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
Yeah, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Why? Because if you don't have your own wife and you sit there burning, you're going to want to deal with somebody else's wife, right? And vice versa with a woman that doesn't have a husband, she's going to be more prone to be immodest, not be shamefaced, and then just go home and be burning. Right? Real quick, go to 1 Corinthians 7 and verse. Bear with me. Marry than a burn. I think I'm reading over it. 9.
Verse number 9. But if they but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn.
Yeah, that burn isn't talking about missiles, right? Burning with the fire of the chariots. That burden is talking about the desire to have a wife or the desire to have a husband on a physical level. So a lot of brothers, I'm Paul. Man, Paul, I don't need no wife. I'm John the Baptist, right? I got this, man. All right, brother. So, all right. Let me just say, all right, brother. Right? That more power to you. If that's what you say, I hope you keep that when you go home, man. Because brothers be burned, man. Brothers see, well, we don't have to go into that, but brothers seen the wood, man. Right?
Cold shower.
Yeah, brother taking cold showers. He over aggressive all the time. Shalom, just you know what I'm saying? Just over aggressive, man. I'm reading, right? Brother damn shaking, man. You read last time. Right? Then the brother come back, he got married. Shalom, man. Shalom, King. So that's a nice sweater right there. Brother complimenting you, man. The brother, he's burning, man. I'm unclean. I'm unclean. Right? I'm unclean. Right? And he's always unclean every week, man. Right? Right? He's doing that from the background. Right? He's just always unclean, brother. Brother, just get a wife. You don't have to be Paul, man. Torment yourself, man. And be John the Baptist. Be clean for once, brother. Get a wife, man. Go to the summit, Hebrew summit, man. Put yourself out there. Make social media, man. Congregate, man, with brothers and sisters, man. You have to sit around and do God knows what, man. I should never be like this, right? And just doing God knows what, man. So read on.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 20 and verse 4. As is the lust of an eunuch to defile, so like it to deflower a virgin, so is he that executeth judgment with violence.
Right, read that again. That's it's a real good precept.
As is the lust of an eunuch to deflower a virgin.
So you got eunuchs that are just lusting to deflower a virgin, man. So it's going to tell you what type of spirit they're going to move in. Read on.
So is he that executeth judgment with violence.
So he's going to put a spirit on them, man. Right? It's going to put an off spirit on them. right? That come here, right? Brother finally had enough and just doing God knows what, man. So you deal with that, brother, by marrying you get a wife. Now, also you want to pray that the Lord helps you deal with that situation, huh? And fast, and some brothers, they may not have a wife, man. It may take time. It's easy to say just get a wife, man. It's easier said than done, man. Because then you got to prove a friend, right? Y'all have to be on one accord. It has to be done in order. So even if you're proving a wife, that may be something that you're still dealing with, and vice versa. So again, that prayer, that fasting, that counsel, that being around brothers, that also helps. And no, it's not a sin if it's nocturnal emission. The Lord said, if you're unclean, you ask him.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
had it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 23 and verse 10. Right, Deuteronomy 23 and 10.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23 and verse 10. And there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness that is chanceth him by night.
Right, and that's what I think that's a brother is speaking about, right?
Then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come in within the camp.
Right.
But it shall be when even cometh on, he shall wash himself with water. And when when the sun go down, he shall come into the camp again.
Right. So it's not a sin unless you don't follow these procedures to become clean again. Right. Wash yourself, right, and remove yourself so you're not making the whole body unclean.
That's right.
Right. So it becomes a sin when you don't follow the ordinances that the Lord told us to do, if that may happen unto you.
And go to Sirach 36 and 24. Right? 36 and 24. So the Lord said, he that is able to receive it, let him receive it in Matthew 19. Because you have some men that make themselves a unit for the kingdom of heaven's sake. And those men can do it. There are brothers in the truth that's not married, man. And they're zealous, they're diligent, they're on fire, they're fervent, man. Right? So that's the spirit. It's all according to what the Most High gives you, man. Every brother doesn't have that ability to do that, man. Right? Some brothers have 2 wives. Right? Some brothers have 3. Right? Some brother just has 1 wife, and that may be enough for them. They may not want more than 1 wife. The other brother say, look, I may not want a wife right now, man. Right? But what I'm dealing with, I'm handling it, man. Right? I take care of my body, I work out, I get enough sleep, I'm around brothers, so I know how to deal with my flesh. I know what's good for me, man. So bring that up.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 36 and verse 24. He that getteth a wife begetteth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest.
Right?
Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled.
So your wife is your possession. If there's no hedge or protection around her, guess what? She could be spoiled. Spoiled meaning what? Robbed spiritually, taken advantage of, preyed upon by demons, other men. So she needs a husband. Right? Go on.
And he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning.
So not having a wife could put a spirit on you too, man. You'll be wandering, you'll see you at a feast day and brothers kind of dancing with their wife, and and you just drinking. You got the Hennessy, right? Or you trying to take the brother from his wife. Come on, let's go over some scriptures. Right? Let that brother hang out with his woman, man. Why you always booed up with your woman, man? All right. Yeah, you always caking, huh? Where we going tonight, man? The brother say me and my woman going out. And then you trying to tag along, man. Where we going, man? That third wheel spirit. You in the back seat, asking for the aux cord. Brother, come on, brother. Right? It's okay, brother, to again, like we brought out there. It's easier said than done. But it's all right to put yourself out there, man. Right? If you're not going to get a wife if you just hide in the basement all day. Right? It's not going to happen, man. So, this truth is also about wisdom. You understand it, and knowledge and understanding, right? And common sense, man. So again, if a brother's dealing with that and he desires a wife, there are ways to go about getting a wife. If the brother's dealing with that and he doesn't desire a wife, there are ways about handling that situation as well. Like we brought up that counsel, being around brothers. They'll fast with you, they'll pray with you to help you overcome those spirits that you're dealing with. And if peradventure you do become unclean, and it chance you by night, like the brother went into, just follow the ordinances thereof, huh? Right? So, well, with that, Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Shalom.
Shalom.